After my mother married a titan of industry, my new stepbrother and his pack of trust fund princes formed what they called the Tribunal. Their noble mission, as they saw it, was to expose me. They planned to lure me into cheating on a boyfriend I did not even have, then parade my ruin as entertainment. She is not my sister. I overheard my stepbrother telling them on speaker. Do not fall for her little good girl routine. She has been passed around more times than you think. One of the boys added, girls like her are easy. A little flattery, and she would be on her back instantly. Their words made me smile, slow and deliberate. I set up a meeting with the softest one in the bunch, the youngest prince, the one who had sounded the easiest to sway. Do you think they are too big? I asked quietly. The poor boy went red from his collar to his hairline. No. They are perfect. I moved behind him and slipped my arms around his shoulders in a wounded tone I had practiced for years. I have hated my body since I was a kid. I breathed. People can be cruel. But you are not like them, right? You would protect me. He swallowed hard. Yeah. Of course. Innocent boys were always so simple to guide. By evening, his spine was straight as a ruler as he declared to his friends that he intended to be my fiancé. The tribunal fell apart on the spot. Carter, have you lost your mind? You were supposed to trick her, not marry her. I wanted to be the one to seduce her, not you. I grew up pretty and smart, which meant everyone watched me from the moment I learned to hold a pencil. My mother had one repeated warning: smile less. I always asked why. Because when beautiful women smile too easily, men take it as permission. She was right. Men hovered around her whether she invited them or not. I was nothing like her. I smiled all the time. And whenever someone wronged me, I made sure they paid for it quietly, while I kept smiling. Things changed the day my mother tracked down my biological father, a tycoon who lifted us into a new world. That new life came with one inconvenience: my stepbrother Liam. We knew instantly that we were born to clash. From across the marble foyer he mouthed, "You are fake," then added, smirking, "I will fix you." I answered with my sweetest, most harmless smile. Later that night, Liam kicked open my bedroom door holding a dead mouse by the tail. He tossed it onto my bed like he expected a show. He wanted a scream or a meltdown. Unfortunately for him, I reacted faster. In one smooth motion, I grabbed the mouse and shoved it down the front of his designer jeans. Then, still in my silk robe and barefoot, I sprinted to my parents' room, letting out a perfectly pitched cry. Liam was watching me shower. I wailed, eyes glossy, with fake tears. In a family of this stature, even the rumor of such behavior was enough to burn everything down. My father saw my trembling face and went purple with rage. He snatched a golf club from a corner and struck Liam repeatedly. "If you ever do anything like this to your sister again, you are out of this house." Hours later, after the storm passed, Liam stood in my doorway with his backside probably twice its usual size. He glared at me. "Just wait." He stomped back to his room and immediately called his friends. "The mistress's brat is trash," he snarled. "I will get her and her mother kicked out. She acts innocent, but she is probably slept with half the city. And that art school she goes to, that costs a fortune. Guess where she gets the money?" His voice echoed from two places, down the hallway and through my phone. On my first day here, I had installed a listener on his device. Every plan they whispered was delivered straight to me. A message popped up on his screen. "Rhys, I get it. The more angelic they look, the filthier they are." Rhys was the group's resident heartbreaker, rich, charming, and a permanent troublemaker in society columns. He wore a silver ring on his smallest finger that supposedly symbolized his devotion to bachelorhood. He was the one who suggested they formalize their mission. Thus, the tribunal was officially born. Rhys took command as strategist. His assigned persona for the mission, the redeemed playboy, supposedly tamed by one extraordinary girl, me. He had pulled off this act enough times to believe he was unbeatable. His best friend Ethan would play the timid, wide-eyed boy who fell for me instantly. The plan was straightforward. Ethan would confess his feelings while Rhys pretended to win me over. If I ever so much as flirted with Ethan, Liam would barge in with cameras rolling. Ethan would then flip on me, accuse me of using them both, and produce the evidence that would obliterate my reputation. They thought of themselves as judges and executioners. Their oath: protect Liam and help him purge his father's home of the conniving mother and daughter who had invaded their perfect world. For weeks, Rhys had been charming me online, carefully noting my preferences, my pet peeves, the way I laughed at messages. Every conversation was a gentle probe, every gift a calculated move. Soon, luxury parcels began arriving at my door, each one a silent promise wrapped in silk and gold. A rich, flattering suitor, practically begging for attention. Naturally, I played along. Liam, observing from the sidelines, muttered, "She's so gullible." I sent her an old season handbag, and she acted like she'd won the lottery. Then Liam escorted me to a party at Rhys's villa. The crowd was thick with anticipation, all eyes on me as if I were prey in a hunt. Everyone was waiting for the moment I would stumble. A host, wearing a grotesque clown mask, stood in the center of the hall. Then the lights went out. "Power outage?" I asked, pretending to tremble. Instinctively, I reached for Liam's hand, but my fingers brushed something cold and hard. A ring. Liam never wore rings. A rich, woodsy scent surrounded me. Expensive, deliberate, unmistakable. The clown's voice cut through the darkness. "The loser of our last game must kiss someone of the opposite sex for a full minute." Whispers rippled through the crowd. Wasn't Rhys the loser? Doesn't he have a rule about not kissing girls? I felt someone lean closer. A small smile tugged at my lips. So many women, yet he acted like he'd never kissed anyone. Hypocrite. I feigned nerves, letting my body respond to his approach. His lips were soft, warm, and surprisingly clumsy. My inner voice scowled. How does someone with so much experience kiss like this? Then a second, firmer hand slid around my waist. My stomach flipped. I'd kissed the wrong man. Shit, this had to be Rhys. I bit down lightly on the stranger's lower lip. A muffled grunt answered me, followed by a sharp curse. Suddenly, he pulled me into his arms with a force that made the air tremble. The lights flickered back on. Rhys's expression was thundercloud dark as his eyes scanned my lips, then darted toward Ethan, who avoided his gaze. I blinked innocently, a perfect mask of bewilderment. "The new girlfriend is stunning, Rhys. You two are perfect together." Wow, true love must be real. I've never seen him kiss anyone like that before. The crowd's cheers, staged for effect, stoked the drama. Rhys, already simmering, had no choice but to switch to tender mode. He offered me his hand and guided me to a velvet sofa, intent on maintaining control despite his fury. Two men stood out among the partygoers, Rhys, by my side, and Ethan, across the room. Both over 6 feet, the same height as the man who had kissed me. Ethan's part in the plot was simple. Swoop in while Rhys worked on me, then pretend to seduce me. It was logical that Rhys would suspect him. I smiled sweetly at Ethan from my seat. He returned the gesture, radiant and boyish. Rhys's eyes darkened, gripping my hand with sudden intensity. Scanning the room, I noticed another tall figure, back turned as he ascended the stairs. Broad shoulders, narrow waist, perfect posture. A shame his face was hidden. Liam's cold chuckle whispered into my ear. "Don't even think about him. That's Carter Monroe. Way out of your league. If Rhys didn't care about you, I wouldn't have brought you here. Honestly, I don't know what he sees in you." The other partygoers chimed in at the right moment. Never seen Rhys fall this hard. The lights dimmed, music softened to a romantic waltz. Rhys removed the silver ring from his pinky, symbol of his eternal bachelorhood, and pressed it into my palm. His gaze, intense and affectionate, commanded attention. Cheers and whistles erupted again. Any other girl would be flustered, her heart racing. I remained composed, a placid smile curving my lips, absorbing every gesture. Just as a hint of boredom flashed across Rhys's features, I produced a perfectly timed blush and leaned closer. "That was my first kiss," I whispered, just loud enough for him. Triumph curdled into shock. Rhys's glare snapped toward Ethan, who continued preening, unaware of the shift in power. Excusing myself to the restroom, my phone buzzed. "Rhys at Liam. I thought she had a ton of boyfriends?" "She just told me that was her first kiss." "Liam. She's faking it, obviously. Just like you, probably." "Rhys, screw you, I actually am." Moments later, the last message vanished. I checked my earlier messages. One anonymous warning had arrived before I even reached the villa. "Unknown number. Don't go. It's a trap." I had replied like a girl hopelessly in love. "Sienna, Rhys is wonderful. I wasn't sure at first, but tonight was my first kiss. I think I'm falling for him. His technique could use a little work, though." Stepping out of the restroom, a tall man in a black casual suit was there, staring at his phone. scowl in place. When he looked up at me, I recognized the expensive, woodsy scent and the split on his lower lip. I quickly retracted my earlier judgment that Rhys and Ethan were the most striking men in the room. The man standing before me was something else entirely. Carter Monroe had eyes sharp and fiery, almost bird-like, exuding a natural composure that only softened now with flickers of frustration and shame. And I noted with mild amusement, his physique was far superior to Liam's. He noticed my stare and tightened his lips. I countered with my practiced wide-eyed, innocent smile. "Your lip, it looks like you hurt yourself," I said softly. His eyes sharpened, lingering on me before he strode away, each step measured, almost like a march. He stumbled slightly on the stairs, betraying his composure. Liam, ever observant, had already spotted us and began typing furiously in the group chat. "Liam, did she seriously try to flirt with Carter Monroe while in the bathroom? Forget it. He doesn't do women." "Ethan." Rhys kissed her pretty hard. "Better not get too attached before it's my turn." "Rhys, who cares? She's just a gold digger. Do what you want, but hurry. She might actually fall for me, and you'll miss your chance." "Ethan." Confident, huh? "Rhys, go be the other man. Take pictures for proof while you're at it." Rhys excused himself, stepping away to take a call, clearing the stage for me and Ethan. I stepped onto the balcony for fresh air. Ethan approached, his white shirt casually unbuttoned, radiating that vibrant, collegiate charm. "Sienna," he said earnestly, "don't fall for Rhys. He's had countless girlfriends. He's not what he seems." Ethan, like Rhys, had flexible morals. He would bend rules to win. Leaning closer, he whispered conspiratorially, "I don't care if you like someone else. With me, my house, my cars, they're all yours." He produced a bracelet from his pocket. I recognized it as a Cartier piece, but it was a knockoff. Before I could refuse, he clasped it onto my wrist. I smiled. "If you want to impress someone, your charm is a good start. No need for fakes." The realization hit him, cheeks flushing crimson. He snatched it off. "I spent a fortune on this. How is it fake?" Then, the contact he'd relied on for the purchase had blocked him. Shocked, he pointed at me. "Even if I wanted a sponsor, it wouldn't be you. I know your family isn't wealthy. Everything goes to Liam." I lounged back on the wicker swing, watching his flustered display. A small smile tugged at my lips. I stroked his cheek. "Do you know why Liam never held favor in the family? His mother was the other woman. She broke my parents apart, which is why my mom took me away." His eyes widened. In his version, I was the child of the mistress. "But Liam is innocent," I continued softly. "We never pursued it. My parents were the legendary couple back in college. Photos and records are easy enough to verify." I leaned closer. "Many men have tried to court me. All so predictable. But Rhys, he's different. Interesting. But tonight, I see he's not exactly what I imagined. Maybe he doesn't care for me as much as I thought." Ethan was stunned, speechless. I tapped his nose gently. "Don't look for shortcuts, little brother. Focus on your studies." I slipped off my stilettos and sat alone, exuding calm melancholy. Girls his age, lively and eager, were everywhere. To capture someone like Ethan, I needed to weave a little mystery into the act of innocence. Curiosity was a trap a man rarely escapes. Ethan sank onto the swing beside me, making it sway. His mission: coax me into infidelity. He wasn't about to give up. A breeze lifted strands of my hair, brushing his cheek. He squirmed slightly, leaning into his struggling college student persona. "Sienna, being an artist isn't cheap. Did you ever take shortcuts to get by? And a girl like you, surely you've had many boyfriends, right?" His questions were sharp, though he masked them as casual curiosity. I laughed softly. Ethan flinched, discomfort flashing across his face. Then he studied, determined not to lose ground. "Shortcuts," I teased. "You didn't do your homework before chasing me? That painting that sold for $1 million last year? I made that to pay tuition," I added lightly. His eyes widened. Liam had fed him a story of me as a shallow fraud. "But the artist on that piece died years ago," he blurted. I tapped his forehead. "Marketing. The artist's identity was fabricated. Details don't matter. Art always gains value posthumously." "And ex-boyfriends?" I leaned close, meeting his eyes in the reflection of his pupils. Naturally, a beautiful girl attracts attention. His gaze faltered. He clutched the fake bracelet, knuckles white. I slipped it onto my wrist. I appreciate the sentiment, even if it's not real. The bracelet gleamed faintly in the evening light. Ethan studied me, eyes intense. I'll buy you a real one someday, he said. I smiled languidly. Don't worry. For now, help me put my shoes back on. I'm exhausted. He knelt to assist. Seeing the scraped heel, he snapped. Why wear these? Your feet are bleeding. I replied casually. Rhys's exes wear high heels. I thought he'd like it. He froze. If you're tired, don't walk. I'll carry you. He added quickly, almost nervously, side entrance. No one will see. I know this place well. I ignored the slip and feigned exhaustion. Slippers had been placed on my feet by a maid. Rhys, it's been forever. Where are you? Where is she? Ethan sent a photo of me asleep on the sofa, flawless. Rhys, classic gold digger. Won't even take off $100,000 bracelet while sleeping. That bag I bought her? 20 grand. Ethan, you'll give her the cold shoulder soon so I can step in, right? Rhys, yep. Tomorrow you two stay out. I'm going to her studio. Playtime with my little artist. Ethan pressed for details. Rhys stayed vague, dripping with sarcasm. Ethan went silent, unwilling to reveal his hand prematurely. I smirked, watching these scheming boys, each with his agenda. It was time to raise the stakes.